FMU, you're on the air.
Yeah, hi, is this Tom?
Yes, it is. Is this Roger?
Yes, it is, Roger Devlin.
Hey, well, thanks for calling the program, Roger. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And now, I guess for people in this area who are not familiar, you are the editor, the sports editor.
I am the new sports editor at the Orlando Daily News, yes.
Okay, and the Orlando Daily News, I guess, is it's unique in the fact that it has a pretty extensive. It does pretty extensive coverage of the XFL.
Oh well, sure. I mean, it's that has been pointed out to me that we do cover the XFL a little bit more than other cities, and it's actually quite surprising because the league is, I think, so exciting, and I'm surprised more major papers are not giving it the ink that it so deserves.
Okay, and well, what about the league appeals to you?
Oh well, it's extreme. Like just like the name says, the Extreme Football League, and you just won't see this kind of play in the No Fun League.
The No Fun League is, I guess, the NFL.
That's the NFL. That's what some people have nicknamed it, which I think is fairly apropos.
No, like what? I mean, just in a basic definition of the level of play, I mean, how is it different? How does an NFL game vary from an XFL game?
Oh, well, I think that, a lot of the players in the No Fun League, I think they coast. They're making that huge, those huge piles of cash. And, I think they're a little afraid of, getting hurt and losing that pile of money that they get every season. Whereas in the XFL, these players are just, they're going for it. They love the game. I don't think most of the players in the No Fun League really love the game, but the XFL players, they really go at it, and they're up for a bone-crunching good time.
Mm-hmm. Now, I guess the word that a lot of people use to describe the XFL is smash mouth football.
I don't really know what that means. Do you mean that it's just violence for violence sake, or it's thug based?
I guess that it's very down and dirty level of football.
Yes, I think that's true, and I think that's just what the sport needs.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear a lot of people talking about the mediocre play
of the XFL.
Of the XFL, and it's I just feel like are these people watching the same games that I'm watching? I mean, have these critics actually seen Michael Black play? He's of course, the star running back for the Rage here in Orlando.
So the Orlando Rage is
that's our home team.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and this guy led the IFL in receiving for 5 years in a row.
The NFL?
The IFL.
Well, what's the IFL?
That's the Italian Football League.
So he came over to play in the XFL.
He came over because he knew that his fortunes lie in America, not overseas. And but I assure you that the Milan Bengals offered him everything, including his own apartment, in an effort to get him to stay.
But he chose.
He chose to come to the XFL because he knew the competition there is top notch.
Mm-hmm. Now, I guess if you could touch more on, like, the mediocre play. I guess a lot of people, when they look at an XFL game, they see just kind of sloppy play and there's not a united defense and
well, I don't. I mean, have you seen these games? I don't think anybody could look at a player like Rage quarterback Jeff Brom and say anything of that sort. I mean, this is a guy who led the Utrecht Steelers to 4 consecutive championships in the DFL.
The Utrecht? What are the Utrecht Steelers?
Well, they're the best team in the Dutch Football League.
So I guess a lot of these guys came from.
Well, this guy's the new Terry Bradshaw. I don't think that could be debated.
And well, I guess it could be, because that's a pretty that's a pretty strong label to put on a guy who's played only 4 games in a startup experimental league.
Well, like I said, he really ran the roost in a well-established league, like the Dutch Football League.
Mm-hmm.
He's a god over there in Holland.
Uh-huh.
Same with Coach Hall.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean he's the most winning coach in the history of the Black Forest Football League.
Now, see, the thing that I guess this brings to mind is that a lot of the football played in Europe, a lot of people don't look as that being the best on earth.
Oh, that's just because it doesn't get much coverage here. And believe me, as new editor, I am going to give quite a bit of coverage to the European football leagues.
Mm-hmm. So how long have you been editor of the Orlando Daily News?
I started 4 weeks ago.
Okay, so you've been there pretty much alongside the inception of the XFL, I guess, to cover the...
Coincidentally, yes. And I would just like to say to my detractors who have really been criticizing me for giving so much attention to the rage in the XFL that this is a new sport and the sport is going to take off like you haven't seen it, like you've never seen before. And also, those people that also criticized me for only giving 4 paragraphs devoted to Dale Earnhardt the day after his untimely demise.
How much coverage did you give that? I mean, that's actually a good point for comparison of how much coverage the.
Well, like I said, I gave I think it was a total of 4 paragraphs to Dale Earnhardt.
So the following month, the day after he died, he got 4 paragraphs of. Well, that's
that
not.
was also the day after the rage creamed the Birmingham Bolts too, which I think was a source of great local pride here, and I did devote 1.5 pages to that.
But see, a lot of people would look at something like Dale Earnhardt. I guess in Florida, NASCAR is pretty popular down there.
Yeah,
I mean, from the way I've understood is.
Well, I'm just giving it my spin. I'm not a local. I'll be the first to say that. I'm actually from Connecticut.
So you're down there, and you just don't think that merits the level of coverage as.
Well, no, and also the same can be said for the local basketball squad, the Magic. Yeah, I've actually pulled our beat reporter off the Magic because I think they're beyond hope this season, and I put him on the beat with the Rage, so he's traveling with the Rage to all their games, and sometimes I actually join them too.
So you actually discontinued coverage of an NBA team?
No, we still write them up if they win, which they're in 4th place right now, and whereas the Rage, as I'm sure you and your listeners know, are undefeated 4-0 so far this season.
Yeah. My guest is Roger Devlin, who's the sports editor for the Orlando Daily News, and this is the best show on WFMU's first annual XFL Super Spectacular. And
I know you're very excited there, Tom. Are you a big fan of the league?
Of the XFL?
Yes.
Well, I've watched a lot of the games, and it's been, to be honest, it's been kind of a mixture of it's like going to look at the spectacle of it more than actually, when the games actually start, you realize that it's not the strongest football you've ever seen.
Oh, I completely disagree.
Now, would you be interested in fielding a few phone calls if listeners?
Oh, I certainly would, yes.
The phone number is 201-200-9368. If you have any questions for Roger Devlin. Actually, there is a call coming in here. Why don't we... FMU, you're on the air.
Hi, I have a question for your guest. I tend to agree with Tom. I think it's kind of a weaker league, and if they ever played head-to-head with the NFL, I think they'd get beat up. But let me ask you this: since Vince McMahon owns it, do you think he's ever going to put some of the former wrestlers he's had through the years in the league?
That was
an extra attraction, like maybe George Animal Steel or something.
There was talk of suiting up the Animal I believe he was going to play for the Las Vegas Outlaws, but as you know, he is getting up in years, and although he really wanted to do it, I think cooler heads prevailed and prevented him from doing it. But I have heard a very strong, credible rumor that Sergeant Slaughter will be suiting up for the Birmingham Bolts next season.
Now, see, don't you think that's kind of gimmicky, though?
Oh, I don't think so. He played junior college in Ohio.
Yeah, but this is supposed to be like an actual. That kind of is contrary to the marketing of the XFL. If they're trying to market it like it's real football,
oh, it is real football.
Then why would a wrestler fit in? I mean, that's kind of flies in the face of saying it's real football.
I don't think it flies in the face of extreme football. See, extreme football is a very different animal than the No Fun League. See, like I said, it's way more down and dirty. That's the great thing about the XFL, and what I think is so exciting about it is you never know what's going to happen. Take the case of your own New York Hitmen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most people's smart money at the beginning of the season was on the Hitmen, and the fact that they're floundering just shows that anything can happen in the XFL. So you watch the NFL, the No Fun League, and you know exactly what's going to happen. But in the XFL, you might see Hitmen defensive lineman Israel Rabon just cream an opposing quarterback, knock him on his can 1 minute, and the next minute you'll see him pawing at one of the cheerleaders' sports bras.
But how is that? I mean, first of all, how do you know what's going to happen in the NFL?
Oh well, that league has been around for so long; it just kind of runs itself, and it's just so boring. You know, you just always know what's going to happen. You know who's going to win. It's essentially fixed, from what I've gathered.
I mean, how do you know who's going to win? I mean, that's.
Well, you've heard the rumors that it's fixed.
I've never heard a rumor that the NFL's fixed. No, I mean that's not.
Well, you must not subscribe to the same email lists I do.
And what kind of email lists are these?
Oh, they're basically XFL related lists.
Now, what I mean, if you think about the XFL, the ratings started off huge.
They were massive, and I was just, I think everybody was excited when that happened.
And then they kind of have taken a real hit in.
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, they definitely have. I mean, this is in the paper today. Saturday night's ratings for the XFL dropped 26% to a 2.8 in the ratings, which is, it had a 10.5 in its opening weekend. So within, a 3-week period, it's lost 75% of its audience.
Oh, I think that's greatly exaggerated. Definitely. I mean, yeah, sure, some people are saying the ratings are a little low, which I don't really think they are. But, one thing that could remedy this whole thing, I think one problem might be because of the time of the year the games take place. Some fans might be a little burned out by, at the end of the college season and the pro season. And I think what the league might want to do, and I'm just throwing this out. These people know exactly what they're doing, but here's just my humble opinion. I think they need to wait until midsummer, when people are really tired of pansy ball and want to see some real sports, and then get the league going then.
What's pansy ball?
What do you think it is?
Baseball is pansy ball?
Yeah.
Well, I guess, a lot of baseball is kind of the summer sport.
Well, it won't be if they take my advice. Hey, just trust Vince. He'll figure it out. That guy's a god.
What? He's a god?
He's a genius, don't you think?
Not really. Not the way that this XFL's been taking shape. I'm kind of surprised that the drop off has come so rapidly.
Well, you're not going to be surprised in a year or two when this other rumor that I've been hearing actually pans out, and I really think it will.
What's that?
Well, my secret sources say that 76% of the NFL players are just chomping at the bit to defect to the XFL.
You mean to actually jump from the NFL?
To jump from the No Fun League to the XFL.
No, why would they do that, though?
Because the play is just it's more, like I said, and I'll say it again, down and dirty. These players want to get themselves dirty. They want to roll around in the muck, and they want to hit hard and be hit hard. And also, listen to this. Are you ready? Here's a bombshell for you, Tom.
Okay, I'm ready.
John Elway has been taking secret training at the Las Vegas Outlaws training facility.
So he's planning a return to football?
He's coming back, but I'll tell you where he's not going.
Where's that?
The No Fun League.
So, see, the thing I don't understand is just on a dollars and cents basis, they get paid about 5 times as much for the league minimum.
Because they love the game.
So you mean for the love of the game, these guys are going to go play?
These guys have had enough. They're saying, here's what I've heard, and this is from a reliable email list that I receive daily. These guys are tired of the pansy football that they're playing. They want to get down and dirty. They want to talk in between plays like the XFL does, which I think is just ingenious. If a guy makes a great hit, he has a mic in his face, and he's ready to tell the world.
I mean, don't you think those things are kind of gimmicky?
Oh, I don't think so. As a matter of fact, I think this is probably what the founders of the NFL had in mind when they first founded it, and it just devolved into this I'll say it, pansy game.
Mm-hmm.
Foppish.
But what makes? I mean, if you watch an NFL game, they're hitting as hard, if not harder.
I don't think so. No, see, there's a difference. There's professional hitting, which is very clean, and I think it's very stale. It's almost the equivalent of this. The NFL. If the NFL was a singer, I think it would be Michael Bolton.
Okay, and
or Billy Joel. It's very clean. It's nothing.
So who would the XFL be?
The XFL is like a hard, heavy metallic rock band.
Okay, I guess so. It's now what I mean. What do you think the future of the XFL? If the ratings keep sliding, it has to catch up with the league at some point.
Well, see, that's still up for debate. I really don't put much credence in ratings. I think America loves the sport. I think the fans are completely behind it. And if I had $1 for every child I saw walking to school every morning with "He Hate Me" on the back of his jersey, I'd be a very rich man.
So you actually are seeing in Orlando jerseys for the players.
God, yes. I've seen several kids with the number 51 just scrawled on their foreheads, and of course that's James Burgess, the linebacker for the Rage. He's a god to these kids down here.
Wow. See, I don't know if it's where we are here. The hitmen.
That's because the hitmen are completely in the dumper. You got that. He passes himself off as a quarterback, Charles Polari, but
and he'll actually be on the program later.
Oh, I would love to get in a word with him and pick his brain. I'm sure that's one gentleman that's wishing he stayed on the Dusseldorf Chiefs, instead of coming to the XFL.
Well,
Well, you asked about the future.
Yeah, that's.
Okay. Well, here's a couple of things that are in the works that I've been hearing about, and it's very exciting. Apparently, each team is going to make a rock and roll album.
Would each XFL team?
Each XFL team, and the plan is to team up each team, so to speak, with a few of today's most extreme singing groups.
Okay.
And I know that they're in talks right now with AC/DC, Goo Goo Doll, Sister Hazel, and something called the Insane Clown Possum.
The Insane Clown Posse, I think it is.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, the players are apparently going to write their own lyrics and in some cases their own music. And of course, as I'm sure you're aware that Orlando Rage center Cal Dixon plays the bass, and he's quite proficient. So I think he'll be penning a lot of the instrumental portions of the Rage records, and he actually plays bass in a band here called The Need. Man, they're really great.
What kind of music do The Need play?
Oh, it's like it's kind of like George Thorogood.
Wow.
They actually do Bad to the Bone.
So it's like a cover band.
Well, yeah, and they have some originals too. They have some good songs. One song is called Mary Lou. It's quite good, and it's great. And I don't even like music.
But you like this because
yeah.
it's got a Rage guy in it.
If he ever gets hurt in the XFL, I think he's got a great future in music.
Mm-hmm.
And also on the horizon, there's going to be an XFL movie.
A movie?
Yes.
Well, what's the movie going to be about? I mean,
well, it's partly, it's fictional to a degree, but I'm proud to say that the head coach in the film, who will be played by Gene Hackman, is modeled after Orlando Rage coach Galen Hall.
Okay.
Yes, and also starring in the movie Cameron Diaz and Julian Moore, and they're going to play two bitchy cheerleaders who are vying for the attention of quarterback Jeff Brom, who will be played by Brad Pitt.
And then when are they doing an XFL movie?
I think that will be coming out, I think, in time for the next season. And it's going to be great, and I really don't even like movies.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned earlier, well, first of all, let me say my guest is sports editor for the Orlando Daily News, Roger Devlin, who is a huge XFL supporter in terms of the coverage that the Orlando Daily News provides to its readers, which is unique, I guess, because a lot of the New York papers up here treat the XFL kind of like a novelty.
Well, that's
at this point.
that New York mentality in action. You guys probably don't. I imagine the critics there probably make fun of the nicknames that are on the back of the players' jerseys.
That is something that a lot of people have fun with. I guess the one everybody knows is that He Hate Me.
Yes.
And there's a guy on the Hitman, I think his name was Big Merc.
Big Merc, yes, he's great.
And I don't know, I guess, well,
there's Haven Fields, who goes by the name Baby Boy, also. And,
yeah.
As you said, Ron Meckerson. He's Big Merc, and Dwayne Saab is Big Saab. Mark Tate is Tater. And there's also some other players from around the league who have kind of interesting names. There's Donut Man, Mr. Pudding, the Droid, Comanche, Dr. Payne, Burger Face, Fart Machine, and Pudwack.
And those are all the names on the back of the jerseys?
Yes, there's also one UFM, who I'm sure you've heard about.
No, I don't know UFM. What?
Well, it stands for three words. One is ultimate.
Okay.
The third word is machine, and the second word I probably cannot say over the air, and it begins with an F.
Is it like a dirty word?
Yes.
Yeah, then okay. So ultimate blank machine.
Yes, and there's also a player for San Francisco who's been in the news recently. On the back of his jersey is WHITE
Like what? Like white power?
Well, that was what people were speculating, which is not true at all. He got into a lot of trouble for that, but it turns out in actuality it's for a portion of his personality. He's a big partier. He likes to party and go to dance clubs, and so he enjoys some of the white powder.
So it's cocaine.
Well, we all like it, I think.
I don't like cocaine.
But you're on radio and you don't like cocaine.
No, I don't.
You're in the media and you don't like cocaine.
Absolutely not.
Well, sir, you're a rare bird, I must say.
Why, is that how things are down in Orlando?
Well, I think that's how things are everywhere. I mean, I was over at Hubcaps the other night, which is Jeff Brom's new club. He's the, as I said, he's the Rage quarterback, and things were kind of loose, and it was fun. I'll just leave it at that. It was fun.
Now, it seems like, I mean, just a thread that I've been picking up throughout the interview is there just seems to be a level of familiarity between you and the players, and which is kind of contrary to the way that sports journalism usually operates.
Oh, well, the XFL is breaking down is breaking the rules, and I'm all for that, and I'm all for being the person to break the rules of sports journalism. I think it's about time that we got the old guard out and got some extreme sports writers in. And as you said, I do talk with some sort of familiarity with the players, and that's because I travel with them also.
Mm-hmm. Now, what is a road trip like?
Well, it's a blast, and all the crime stuff you hear about the Rage players just isn't true. All the crimes.
Crime?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like it gets so blown out of proportion, and I'm just going to go on record as saying nobody got their face smashed in at a club in Birmingham last weekend.
See, the crime. To tell you the truth, I haven't heard anything about crime.
Well, it was reported pretty heavily in those XFL email lists that I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I also wanted to say that was a major misunderstanding between one of the players for the Rage and a patron of the Romper Room.
Which is what?
It's a gentleman's club in Birmingham.
Okay,
yeah.
So.
And also, I do want to say this. Athletes have always gotten characterized as being, dim-witted and hulking, and stupid, and that's just not true. I mean, 30% of the players that I've met on the Rage, these guys have all taken courses at some of the nation's top community colleges.
So you respect these guys, actually,
yes.
a lot of the XFL
these guys
players.
are intelligent. I mean, they know who the president is.
The president of what?
Of the United States.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not that impressive to know who the president is.
Well, these guys have their minds. They got a bunch of plays to remember. They've got to know all this stuff. They've got to know, how to run it, how to run around the end, tackle. It's a lot to keep in your brain.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's take a call here. WFMU, you're on the air. FMU, you're on the air.
Yeah, are they going to do extreme music at the XFL soon?
Well, did you hear what I said about that record album?
I think we lost them.
Sir, yes, as I mentioned, there is that record album in the works that I think will. It's guaranteed to bring in a new audience. A lot of those younger rock and roll fans are gonna go head over heels when they hear, one of the guys on the Las Vegas Outlaws team up with Goo Goo Doll.
The Goo Goo Dolls?
Yeah, Goo Goo Dolls. Yeah, I thought it was Goo Goo Doll.
No, it's a group called the Goo Goo Dolls.
Oh, it's not one guy. Okay.
No. Now, where do you see the league itself going? Yeah, I mean, outside of the ancillary projects like movies and albums.
Oh well, the league will definitely expand, and I think the projection I've heard is by the year 2004 there's going to be 60 teams.
How many teams?
60.
60.
Yeah, thereabouts. Right now there's only two divisions. In the NFL there's two conferences and there's I believe 3 divisions
in each conference.
Exactly. Well, this is going to have four conferences.
So 4 conferences.
Yeah.
And then how many divisions in each?
I believe there's supposed to be 10 divisions.
In each?
I thought that's what I've heard.
So you're talking about 40 divisions altogether.
Yeah.
With how many teams in a division?
I've heard 7.
7?
Yeah, so that's actually more than 60.
Yeah, that's a lot more than 60. But still, just That it's bizarre to even speculate that the league would have any kind of explosion at that point. At this point, when it looks like it's going the other way, it looks like it's going south.
Hey, well, look, all I know is that there's already a list a mile long for cities just lining up for expansion status, and some of the teams that have already been greenlit for the year 2002, I believe, the Western Maine Crabmen, the Cleveland Disease, the Philadelphia Rockies.
You mean like Colorado, or like Colorado Rockies?
No, like Rocky Balboa, the pride of Philly. Rocky's.
So like the actual, like the character in the movie.
Exactly. Well, I mean, when you think of Philadelphia, what do you think of first? You think of Rocky. You think of Sly.
Uh-huh. I usually think of like anger when I think of Philadelphia first, but that's just me.
Well, then that's good, though, because the Philadelphia Rockies will harness that anger, I'm hoping, and just go on to extreme victory.
Now, do you think Vince McMahon is disheartened by the current response to the XFL?
Oh, I don't think so at all. As a matter of fact, I saw him at a press conference the other day. He was very excited about the expansion teams, and he was actually wearing a Seattle Grunge jersey.
Which is not a team that's currently
not
in
yet, but they will be.
So there's going to be a team called the Seattle Grunge.
Yes, and Vince has had his ups and downs, and he always pulls through, and he's the man. He's the smartest guy I've ever met.
So you've actually met?
Oh, sure.
And how was that?
Oh, it's great.
Meeting him.
He has you in his office up there in Connecticut, and oh my God, it's just he treats you like one of his own, and if you're lucky, you'll get to wrestle a little bit too, which is really fun, because I wrestled junior varsity in high school, and it was fun, and I actually got to go to a wrestling camp about 2 years ago, and that was great fun. A wrestling camp for what? To potentially be a pro wrestler? Oh, no. It was like a fantasy wrestling camp. And,
okay.
And I should add that there is going to be, in the year 2002, an XFL fantasy camp where regular Joes will get to meet people like Bernard Russ and Bob Rosenthal and, players of that caliber, Shannon Culver, Cal Dixon.
Which I guess would be a dream come true for a lot of people.
Oh, I mean, yeah, the old guard, the old school people would probably, be creaming themselves to play with Mean Joe Green or something, but not the kids of today. Mm-hmm. They want to get low down and dirty with Jim Stull.
Who plays for what team?
He plays for your own New York Hitmen.
Okay. Yeah. I should say my guest is sports editor for the Orlando Daily News, Roger Devlin, and we are talking about the XFL, and this is the best show on WFMU's first annual XFL Super Spectacular. And the phone number is 201-200-9368. Email is toms@wfmu.org. If you have any questions, you can call or email the program. Now, do you think, getting back to Vince McMahon, I mean, he decided he is definitely, without a doubt, the king of wrestling.
Right.
Do you think that his venture into football will just make him realize that it's not the same? He's starting out at the bottom in one thing, and that he maybe was a little over his head initially in terms of football, realizing that it's a different audience and a different sport, and that it's two different things.
Well, one thing about Uncle Vince is that he always he sticks with it.
Well, Uncle Vince?
Well, that's what some people call him.
Well, you call him Uncle Vince?
Oh, sometimes.
Well, that's kind of.
Well, it's affectionate, though. I mean, it's. I don't think it's any different than a reporter for the Waukesha Daily News back in the '60s, calling saying Uncle Vince about Lombardi. I don't think there's any difference. Really.
I don't think they called him Uncle Vince, though.
Well, that's purely
Okay, well, whatever. But you think that he what?
I think he will stick with it. There has been rumors of NBC pulling out, which I think is completely unfounded. And I think if NBC did pull out, I think NBC could expect, quite frankly, a firebombing from XFL fans.
You think that people are that passionate about the XFL?
I know they are.
You don't think it's just mass apathy?
Are you watching the same games I'm watching?
I've watched almost every game that's been on.
Well, then you know the caliber.
I guess I do, and that's why I thought that Vince might be gun-shy about what he did and kind of start to rein things back in to not tarnish the WWF name.
Oh, I think Vince will make this league. I think next year, I think you'll see an even more extreme football league. And let me also say, I think you'll also see more extreme leagues. There's talk right now about XBL.
And what's XBL?
Extreme baseball.
From who? From Vince McMahon?
Well, it's the word is out there. I think once Vince comes out on top, and I know he will, on this, you'll see the floodgates open at extreme baseball. The ball is 10 times harder, thus making it more painful when it hits you. You'll see XBA, extreme basketball. I don't know much about that, but all I do know is that there is a pool in the middle of the court and extreme tennis.
Now, these are all...
From what I can gather, these are all leagues that are in the planning stages. Extreme tennis, the note that I had said that you are allowed to hit your opponent in the face with your racket.
Well, see, that kind of just makes tennis not tennis, in a way.
It's extreme tennis.
Mm-hmm. Which I would be shocked if that's what people actually wanted.
I think you're underestimating the sports fans out there.
Let me just say, you are listening to WFMU East Orange, WXHD Mount Hope, worldwide on the internet at WFMU.org. We have another call coming in here. WFMU, you're on the air.
Yeah, how you doing? I just turned my radio on. I don't know if I believe what my ears are hearing here. Is this some kind of joke, this guy?
Well, no, not really.
I think you guys are pulling my leg. This guy ain't a real guy. The things he's saying
sir,
is ridiculous. The Rockies. Come on.
Sir.
Are you pulling a stunt, or is this guy pulling a stunt on you? It's
the
question.
Sir, let me ask you this. Are you a fan of the Hitmen?
Frankly, I've never seen a game. I watched 5 minutes. It's, it's not football. It's garbage. Guys throwing interceptions all over the place. People coughing up the ball. It's second-rate football.
It's exciting football. It's extreme football. You know that, sir. Sir, I advise you to watch.
My question is, I think you're pulling a stunt here.
This is not a stunt.
Sir, the only stunt I've seen is when one of the players pulled down the mini skirt of one of the cheerleaders the other day.
Very good, very good. But frankly, I don't believe you.
Well,
I don't know if you're pulling one over this other guy here.
I guess do you have a web page for the Orlando Daily News?
Yes, we do.
I guess don't think this guy's legit.
Well, are you on the computer?
No, I'm not. I'm in Brooklyn.
No, but I mean, do you have a computer at home?
Oh, yes.
Well, I guess you can check the Orlando Daily News
.org.
sports
this guy's,
section.
For real? What's his name?
.org.
Roger Devlin.
Roger Devlin. I'm the sports editor.
What I think is going on is he knows the league's going to fall, and he's just going all out, just having a good time with you right now.
Sir, mark my words, this league will outlast the No-Fun League.
The what league?
The NFL.
Oh, the NFL.
Mark my words.
We'll see.
It might be, look, I agree with you, caller, in the fact that up here, I guess people look at the XFL as being kind of a failed league, I would think. But I guess in Orlando, it's a different story.
Sir,
yeah, we all know what's going on in Orlando. It's friggin' the whole town's Disneyland, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, sir.
Well,
sir, you know what you need to do?
Go ahead.
You need to go down into Times Square, go to the WWF store.
I've seen a movie, as a matter of fact. Continue.
And buy a He Hate Me jersey.
Who?
He Hate Me.
Who hates who? What?
Okay. Well, thank you for calling.
See, that's the thing there, Tom. Someone calls in who has never seen a game.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what he knows from what the Daily News out there is. That's what is that the paper that reports on the Hitmen, and I'm sure they
the Daily News or the Post,
yeah, they skewer it, I'm sure. But down in here we gave it a fair shot, and There are fan clubs springing up every day for these players.
Really?
Yeah, there's a huge Tony Gator fan club. He's an offensive guard.
Tony Gator.
Yeah, Gaiter.
Well, let's take another call here. WFMU, you're on the air. WFMU, you're on the air. FMU, you're on the air. Nope, call not coming through. I'm sorry. Well, we kind of have to wrap things up, Roger.
Okay.
Well, here's another call.
Okay.
WFMU, you're on the air.
Yeah, I'm obviously agreeing with the last guy. This is obviously a setup, and I'm trying to figure out what are you guys doing?
Why is it so outrageous to think that someone could be passionate, extremely passionate?
Well, when it started off earlier, and you were talking and you were saying stuff like the kids in Orlando are all walking around with the number 51 scrawled on their foreheads.
Yes.
I thought, well, this guy's full of it, but he's enthusiastic, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Certainly.
Now you're talking about playing tennis or basketball with a pool in the middle of the courts, and I'm like, well, it's not April Fools. What are these guys doing?
That sounds exciting, though, doesn't it?
What?
Wouldn't you love to see a basketball game?
Come on, give me a break, man.
Well, I would say look, I would say that this stuff
I mean,
doesn't exist. Obviously,
This stuff have obviously gone.
This stuff
over
doesn't.
the edge. It's like ridiculous. What's the point?
Sir, the point is that it's extreme.
Extreme what, man? You're making an extreme fool out of yourself by thinking people are going to believe this.
Sir, you hear me
It was
out.
funny at first. Now it's like ridiculous.
Sir, you probably don't live your life in an extreme fashion, do you?
Well, he hung up.
I do. I'm up at 4 a.m. and I'm biking all over.
Now, in your defense, those leagues have not. Those don't exist yet.
But they will.
So that's all. So you think they will?
I can't wait to cover extreme baseball.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to have 5 guys on that team.
Mm-hmm.
5 guys covering that team.
WFMU, you're on the air.
Hi, I have a question
Uh-huh.
about extreme sports. Okay, so like in the Olympics, there's this event called the biathlon, which sounds like a bunch of pansies, but it's not. What it is they have cross-country skiing combined with rifle shooting. And I was wondering, how long do you think it's going to be before they bring rifles into the XFL and the other extreme sports where they'll have shooting involved?
Well, it's funny you should mention that because I think most proponents of the extreme leagues cite that as being the blueprint for extreme sports. That's a beautiful sport. You ski and you shoot. I just think that's amazing.
So you think that's extreme?
I think it's beautiful. And I have heard that there is going to be an extreme softball league which will feature gunplay. Yes.
So there'll actually be gunplay in a softball league?
Yes.
See, that I find hard to believe that would actually get to the point where it would exist.
What I heard was this. Well, in softball, home runs are extremely rare just because of the softness of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if someone gets a home run, they round the bases. As they're coming into home, they're handed a pistol, and they are able to shoot. Technically, it is into the crowd, but it's one area of the crowd.
I find that very hard to believe that would ever come to fruition.
It's one area of the crowd where everybody is wearing bulletproof vests.
Still,
that's
very. WFMU, you're on the air.
Yeah, I'd just like to mention to some of the previous callers that extreme sports of the type your guest is mentioning are actually true. The European Football League's teams in Yugoslavia play on minefields.
That's true.
There are Cambodian rugby leagues that practice on minefields as well as have the games on minefields.
That's true.
Seriously?
Yes.
Wow. See, so I guess that actually is, it's almost like a world standard that the U.S. might be behind on even.
Oh, yes.
Most of the mines in the world are made in Italy, so naturally.
So where did you hear that?
I saw it.
Oh, so you were over there and actually saw it?
Well, yeah.
And do you feel that America is ready for sports like that?
It really depends. Look at the movies that we're watching now, and I think that once the movies go towards, the ones that your guest is talking about as far as making films about extreme football leagues and such, you'll see. There are extremely extreme wrestling leagues already.
That's right. The backyard leagues.
That's right, the yard leagues. And, I mean, people are going to take it into their own. I don't know if they'll be doing minefield football or rugby here, but it's a European trend that I'm sure some of our soldiers who have been to these theaters will bring over.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for calling.
Sure
So there's two sides to the coin, I guess.
That man knows of what he speaks.
So, Roger, in conclusion, if you where do you see the XFL 5 years from now?
I see it just being just massive, utterly massive. I think it will grow to just enormous proportions. Like I said, 60 teams. I would venture at least 5 XFL movies per year. Plays. I think there will be many more records, many more albums, and I just think it will be. I think it will be huge. How could it not be?
Okay. Well, I appreciate.
Hey, Tom.
Yes.
Can I put you down for a fart machine T-shirt?
How much are they?
I'll tell you what.
What's that? Wait, why are you selling T-shirts? What would make you, as a reporter, involved with merchandise?
Well, I just like to help the team, and Garland Patrick is a friend of mine. And
who is that?
He's the fellow who plays for the Rage, who goes by the nickname Fart Machine.
Now, see, I'm a little wary of the fact that it seems your coverage is a little heavy, and if you're going to have commercial ties also, that kind of you're treading into dangerous journalistic waters.
Okay, well, be on the lookout for my book next year.
What's your book?
XFL Inside Story.
Okay, well and that's what it's your take on the XFL.
Essentially, yes. When Vince asked me to write, when I was asked to write the book.
So Vince asked you to write a book on the XFL?
Look, I got to roll, okay? I got a boogie.
All right, well, I appreciate you calling in, Roger, and thank you for being a part of the program.
I'll send that T-shirt off.
Okay.
XFL forever, people.
Great. Well, thank you, Roger.
Keep the faith.
Okay. Good night.